There was a lot going on at the 14th Märklin Days and the 14th IMA. The biggest draw, the special cars. The Märklineum was also well attended, including the magnificent exhibition. For many, however, the factory tour was a must. The first stop was the casting department, where the legends of metal take their raw form. Visitors were able to watch one of the two loading pockets of the T3000 being created. Märklin and Trix fans showed great enthusiasm for this model. It is still in high demand, with new versions constantly being released. High-quality die-cast metal is one of Märklin's core competencies. Even though processing is demanding and takes place in several departments, metal is the material that sets the models apart. This also applies to this component of the 66 series, the second club model for 2025. Interesting. Nice. Have a great time. Thank you. You're welcome. We are now in the painting department, where the models are painted step by step using pad printing. Before this, they had to undergo casting, finishing, electroplating and basic coloring. This is the Mauslok, whose prototype we will see later at the train station. Master Ludwig explains the coloring process competently and attentively. We print on all sides of the components, including the front and side surfaces. But we do this in individual steps. 3 different clamping positions are required for the front side alone. This is where digital printing comes into play, as this process is ideal for transferring the colorful images onto the housing. The front and side surfaces of the locomotive are processed using different printing machines. What a contrast to digital technology! The decorative rings are attached with a steady hand and a great deal of skill. This metal housing was also digitally printed, and in no time at all we are already in the assembly department. This is where the 101-127 is being completed, a magnificent model that pays tribute to the 100th anniversary of the 01 series. On this day, many visitors truly realized the enormous effort required to put a perfect model on the track. Almost the entire model railroad industry showcased its exciting products. Over 130 exhibitors gathered in Göppingen.
Die IMA unterscheidet sich schon hier von den anderen Messen etwas, weil
the IMA sets itself apart from other trade fairs because it is organized by a major manufacturer, Märklin. It is different from a model railroad fair run by a trade fair company elsewhere. The industry is very informal. Everyone knows each other. People talk to each other. Sometimes they even collaborate on certain projects. It's delightful.
Sehr angenehm.
Fiesmann is collaborating with Auhagen on car motion. But we have also received ideas from women who are attending our seminars. That's how the shoe store came about, for example. One of them told us a shoe store was missing. Who says women aren't interested in model railroading? They often just have a different focus than men. And that lightens the mood. We want to showcase our entire product range here at the IMA, and we are honored to have been invited by Märklin. We also want to present our anniversary model, blast furnace and mining industry. The model is of course quite large, but it can also be built on an area of about 1 square meter. We are depicting the blast furnace, the inclined elevator, the wind heaters, the casting hall where the iron was tapped, and the delivery of iron ore, coke and slag, or the removal of slag. So in principle it is a complete production process, but somewhat reduced in size or streamlined, so to speak. The basic kit is typical of Faller, naturally with detailed instructions, and in principle anyone can assemble it. It is quite doable. But since the kit contains approximately 2,500 parts, roughly 140 moldings, it is advantageous to have some experience in this area. At Noch, grass plays a big role. The professional device is adjustable. I can set the voltage higher or lower. The battery life changes depending on the voltage. A larger battery is installed here. If I need more voltage, the runtime is shorter. At maximum voltage, it is only 3 hours. However, if I set the lowest voltage, I can extend it up to 10 hours. The reason for this setting is that normally you need a higher voltage for longer fibers and a lower voltage for shorter ones. Because otherwise you get something like threading, where the fibers no longer come out of the device cleanly, but clump together a bit. You can reduce the voltage a little and everything works better. With this interchangeable container system, I can literally change containers in the blink of an eye. This saves me time and also gives me better results, because the adhesive is even more absorbent at that moment. Linderhof Palace also attracted a great deal of interest. The laser cut kit contains over 1,000 parts. Matching figures are included. Steelworks here, a fairy tale castle there. What wonderful selection to choose from. The same goes for Preiser. And sometimes there are also, let's say, experts from various fields such as the Federal Agency for Technical Relief, the Fire Department and the Railroad, who tell us, this is missing, it has to look like this is how it should be. And of course we are always very grateful when people who really know what they are talking about help us. Expertise is in demand, and customers appreciate that. Manufacturers interact directly with visitors, creating a win-win situation. The IMA has become a regular event for us too. We are delighted to be back here again after a short break. Our absolute highlight for this year is the SBB long-distance double-decker train, also known as the Twindex. Delivery will start at the beginning of December. Our fans, especially in Switzerland, are very much looking forward to the train. We present our full new items for Rocco and Fleischmann at the IMA. For both brands, we are presenting two beautifully designed Vectrons from the SBB, the Germany and Switzerland Piercer from the Axload series. Good prospects. Vectron models are in demand among many model railroaders, in all sizes, and manufacturers are keeping up. Tens of thousands of visitors did not want to miss the industry's exhibition and got an idea of the current trends. BMO also offers models that run on Märklin tracks, even if the prototype has a different gauge. For some, this is a break in style, for others, a joy. Pico came to the Stauferstadt from Sonneberg and presented its entire product range, from N to G at its booth. MHI also had a strong presence at the large Märklin booth. It is important for us to establish contact with the end customer, because we want to commission and produce models at the factory that the market wants. For example, not the ones we like, but the ones the customer wants. And I believe that we have demonstrated a knack for this in recent years. And there is no better way than to get in touch here. And then, at the next meeting in October, we will try to filter through the whole thing. There's a model for every pocketbook. It is also important for us to offer something for those on a tighter budget. That is why for several years now we have always had a model from the Hobby series in our range that we have pimped up, as the young people say. This year it is the DHG 500 with small coal cars, which will be available in stores starting next week. It's not pocket change, but it's still very attractively priced. This platform is brand new and will be very popular with retailers and customers alike. We will go on air with this on October 1st, as they say in modern German. Many customers approach us and say, "Oh, I'm still looking for the locomotive, I'm looking for the car set that was available 3, 4, 5 years ago." Retailers say, "Oh, I still have 3, 4, 5-year-old merchandise. How am I going to get rid of it?" We have created a platform where customers can enter their location and the item they are looking for. The system then searches among 150 retailers in the background to find out who might still have this item. You have to be creative. This also applies to Sommerfeld, where they always have a perfect rapport with their customers. Making model railroad dreams come true requires careful planning, and Modellplan is a proven partner for it. N-Gage fans attended the IMA in search of inspiration for their hobby. Thanks to all visitors who have come here from near or far in search of Minitrix items, perhaps even to rediscover some things, and to all those long-time customers who have known me and Minitrix for years, looking for new inspiration or to address some of their challenges. The new concrete track, in particular, is a hot topic of conversation. When and what will arrive? In other words, delivery times are the issue. We already have quite a few tracks in stock, but management, in consultation with sales, the order center and product management, has decided to start delivery once the left and right standard turnouts are in stock. As of today, that will be sometime between the end of October and mid-November. Then we will begin delivery. Preferences are also changing in N. In general, in N-Gage, what is currently running is always the most interesting, and of course Era 4, which is now strongly replacing Era 3. In my opinion, it can be said that the trend is moving towards smaller gauges. I don't want to point only to N-Gage, because Z or Z-Gage is also very successful. Let's now move from Stauferpark to the tent next to the EWS arena, where there were more eye-catching exhibits, including some in N-Gage.
Na gut, angefangen hat halt das, dass wir uns überlegt haben, was können wir Neues machen. Dann hat der Mann gesagt, er hätte eine Idee.
So it started with us thinking about what we could do that was new. Then Manny said he had an idea. He's the one who designed the ferry. We obtained permission from the shipping company for the ferry, because nowadays you always have to be careful not to infringe on copyright laws. The shipping company said, "Okay, go ahead, it's great publicity for us." We said, "But we have a track on the ferry so that trains can drive onto it. You can't drive a locomotive directly onto it. You always need 1 or 2 intermediate cars, which have to be there as well, so that you can bring 5 or 6 cars onto the ferry, for example. There have to be 2 buffer cars in between, which is actually what was done with the original trains, so that the load is distributed evenly. The ferry was then partially made with laser cutting, and the special feature is the real water. Our ferry sails in real water without much jolting. There's a special technique involved. And it works using ball bearings and magnets. A nice addition to the N-Gage layout by Harald Käfferlein and his friends. The N-Club International also had something worth seeing with its modular layout. Here visitors could travel with their eyes, even across borders to neighboring countries. As always, it's great fun to shunt and assemble the trains before they set off on their journey, both in passenger and freight transport. And you get the best view from above. A highlight of the IMA in Göppingen, the train station. This time with the locomotive christening.
Göppingen. Und wir wünschen allzeit gute Fahrt.
We wish you a safe journey and cool runnings on the tracks. All the best. The HAFO model is already available. Unfortunately, only a few locomotives in Germany have been given specific names. This came about because in the history of the 181.2, as this locomotive is known in railway jargon, 3 locomotives were christened back in 1976. The Saar, the Lorraine and the Luxembourg. That was in 1976. Why are we doing this? Because we think the old Federal Railroad and Reichsbahn technology is great. Today's 3-phase locomotives are not my cup of tea. It was great to work with Mr. Schlünz to create a model, you have to say. Normally, we recreate models based on existing examples. It was quite a challenge to create a model while working on the model implementation at the same time. Together with Mr. Schlünz, we came up with the idea of giving this 181 a name. It didn't take us long to decide, because we said that if we are going to make a model, we would call it Göppingen. Of course, we have enormous potential here to attract people from all over the world to Göppingen, which doesn't happen every day. That's why it's great that we can also showcase our city to some extent. Märklin, of course, on the one hand, the entire industry, obviously, but the city can also show once again that we are huge railroad fans and that it's worth coming here. In addition, the 181-218, the mouse locomotive, which is very popular with young and old alike, also provided exciting moments. Some enjoyed the ride in the driver's cab, while others tried to take a nice picture of the colorful machine. But the stars at Göppingen station were undoubtedly the 201s from the Bavarian Railway Museum in Nördlingen. These 2 express locomotives took us over the Geislinger Steige to Westerstetten. It's always a wonderful moment when these colossal engines go into motion. What's more fun, sitting in the Roter Brummer or traveling on the steam train? Both are special in their own way, an extraordinary IMA experience. The stoker has his work cut out for him, as the ramp has a maximum gradient of 22.5 per mil. The difference in altitude is over 120 meters. With a train weight of 360 tons, the 2 rail stars have no trouble. The climb is complete, and the 2 very different engines roll along comfortably. While the locomotive, the 01066, features large Wagner wind deflectors in the style of earlier eras, the 01180 has small smoke deflectors and a newly built boiler. Which is the fairest of them all? That's purely a matter of taste. Both locomotives are reminiscent of the heyday of steam trains. The journey from the train station to the Leonhard Weiss Company premises is made by railbus, a cherished tradition, and, for older generations, a little trip down memory lane to the time of their youth, when the Roter Brummer was still part of everyday life. The Göppingen-based construction company is involved in a wide range of activities. Its core business includes building construction and civil engineering, as well as track construction. To do this, it relies on a state-of-the-art fleet of vehicles. It even attracts fans from faraway countries. That's because there's an opportunity to discover these rail giants from a special perspective. The fact that Leonhard Weiss is opening its doors is testament to a partnership with Märklin that has grown over time. A fine tradition that is sure to be continued for many years to come. The EWS arena was dominated by both large and narrow gauge railways. There was plenty to keep visitors entertained, with lots of interesting things to see.
Wir haben hier jetzt einen Bastelwagen auf den Markt gebracht. Extra eigentlich für die IMA.
We have now launched the Arts and Crafts car on the market. It was designed especially for the IMA, but is also available in the new items section. This car can also be purchased from any specialist retailer. It has a wooden structure, which allows you to design the sides to suit either children or, as we have done here, a more professional look. And that's the beauty of this car. Simply slot it together without any glue. There's just one thing to bear in mind. As it's made of wood, it can't be used outdoors. It's only suitable for indoor tracks.
Das ist eben, ja, nur für Indoorbahnen.
A clever way to introduce young people to garden railways. And once you choose LGB, you may never look back. We are an LGB club and we love this product. I always say that we breathe it day and night. That may sound crazy, but it's true. We love this product. It's big and you can take it in many directions from any company and also copy something, maybe even recreate it. You can also just take a look at half-O stuff and use something from that too. And sometimes it fits. The LGB enthusiasts were also inspired by Jim Button and his adventures. Biggie Böhmer sewed all the figures by hand. People always refer to them as the Wild 13, but there are only 12 figures. Why? The boss always counts himself twice. There is obviously always room for humorous scenes on this LGB layout. An exotic train also catches the eye. To the delight of those who love mythical creatures, unicorns travel across the lovingly designed layout. The gallery of the EWS arena was lined with eye-catching Z or Z-gauge models. The Z Stammtisch Radolf Zell Club brought not only these small works of art, but also classic layouts. Raffaele Piccolo fascinatingly implemented the themes of winter, mountains and railways in a very small space. All of the trees were built in-house using resin at the base material. Thomas Hess was on site with his detachable layout Klapplingen. Every model railroad enthusiast can imagine how precisely something like this has to be built. Michael Bernhard drives along on his old Noch terrain, because model railway history is also interesting.
Und du bist auch Eisenbahnfan?
And you're a railroad fan too? Do you have a layout at home? Yes, I do. Nothing beats a tasteful selection of cargo. There were many ways to get to the IMA.
Wir haben die öffentlichen Verkehrsmittel.
We have public transportation and special trains, but what is even more important is that our bus company, OVG, is once again supporting us with 15 buses. Thanks to the new traffic management system that the city of Göppingen installed this year, we have 4,200 parking spaces, and there are also parking options at the individual locations.
Dementsprechend zu parken. Ein Dankeschön an die Mitarbeiter vom Hause Märklin, weil das sind auch an die 400 Leute.
A big thank you to the employees of Märklin, because around 400 of them are also on duty, not only showing visitors around the factory with pride on Friday and Saturday, but also working at the ticket offices, at the information desks and everywhere else where people are needed. They are actively involved and proud to work for Märklin and to have direct contact with the public. We are already looking forward to the next event. Märklin will be hosting an open house in September 2026. A dual-mode Vectron traveling in a hall on the Leonhard Weiss premises, on a modular layout built by the hard-working members of an insider regulars table.
Mist 7
stands for the Märklin Insider Regulars Table from Area 7 in the Greater Stuttgart region. We meet because we all enjoy Märklin and Märklin products. Trains are operated in the same way as on the main railway network. Trains are reported to the next station by telephone. Actually, the idea was to build a modular layout. It was important to us that it be a layout with a special character. We considered various layouts and then settled on this route because it is very varied in terms of scenery, covering Germany and Austria. It is also varied in terms of rolling stock, so we settled on the Karwendel route. It was not without reason that the glass train often traveled here, as the Karwendelbahn is one of the most beautiful routes in the entire Alpine region. Freight trains also ran here, but unfortunately this has not been the case for some time now. In the model, however, it still is. And now the most daring structure on the route comes into view. Behind me you can see the Schlossbach Bridge, which is also very impressive in real life when you stand in the deep gorge and look up. How come the model's color doesn't match the prototype? We kept asking ourselves, is this also a motive that appeals to visitors time and again? How was it made? Is it a factory-made product? No, it isn't. It was really bent and welded by hand, and that's what we want to convey. This layout has a completely different character. It also has a specific model, namely the Teck Railway. In 2024, the line from Kirchheim unter Teck to Oberlenningen celebrated its 125th anniversary. A working group from the Teck Model Railway Enthusiasts Club took this as an opportunity to build a Märklin layout. An absolute highlight at the IMA was the layout by the Maifeld Model Railway Enthusiasts Club. Here it is not the idyllic landscape that inspires the viewer, but heavy industry. Well-known trains such as the Lange Heinrich roll along the K-tracks here. That was our film about 3 fantastic days in Göppingen. It offered everything that could delight the heart of any railway enthusiast. And since the weather gods were also smiling on us, it was only the visitors' thirst that was quenched at the drink stands.